Welcome. I just wanted to first start off with who are you and basically what did your role at Arsenal involve on a day-to-day basis?
Well, Erin, it's absolute pleasure being able to speak with you and all the subscribers today and those who will be listening. So thank you very much for having me. You're doing a fantastic job and haters love what you're doing. And my role, so I came in as the under 12s coach. So I worked with another group of coaches supporting the under 12s in their development. But within that, I also had opportunities to coach across what's called the youth development phase. So that would be up to the under 16s. So you've got the under 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, and 16s.
Perfect. So I wanted to ask about basically people often refer to the Arsenal way as sort of like
Mm.
mentality and philosophy. I wanted to ask how would you define that particularly, but then also looking at basically the philosophy, the player education, the stuff that they receive whilst they're going through their development.
Sure. So it starts with what we call strong young gunners. So strong young gunners has four elements to it. That's champion mentality, lifelong learner, efficient mover, and most effective team player. So those are the four pillars by which we support players in, and that encapsulates a strong young gunner. And then in its entirety, or if I want to shorten it, the Arsenal philosophy is really high pressing, playing in the final third, um, and just being exciting as players. So that would be the overarching.
Cheers, appreciate it. So I saw a clip a couple of seasons ago. It sort of went viral on social media, and it basically shows the academy or one of the sides, and I believe it was either the under 18s or the under 21s, basically replicating the first team style of play. It was a very
Mm.
similar, I think almost the players even looked the same, so it looked like some sort of like first team move. I just wanted to ask, how closely does the academy try to replicate the first team's style and principles? And then what are the key similarities players encounter when they make the step up? Have you found, if you found anything?
Good question. So the the academy has its own philosophy, but by the time you get to under 18s, under 21s, of course, you're now really matching the first team in the sense of how they're playing. Of course, you've got to be prepared because it might be your opportunity, you never know, to then be able to go into the first team. But right from the young age groups, so we're talking about 9, 10s, 11s, it's all around staying on the ball. So it's not necessarily that there's anything replicating for the first team, but it's more a case of how do we encourage the young players to be confident on the ball, stay on the ball, be able to receive off of both foot, play off of both feet, and then really develop their super strength and understand what their individual super strengths are. And then as they get to the foundation phase or the early youth development phase, then that's where it's now around how do you integrate with your team or your units. So how do I play within my midfield unit? How do I play with my attacking unit? Because now you're going into 9v9 and very quickly into 11v11 onwards. And the fundamentals in terms of their individual technical aspects are still something that needs to be supported, needs growth, because then by the time they get to your 15s, 16s, as you've seen, and as many have seen already, you could be now jumping to the first team, of course, and we're seeing it with Ethan, Nwaneri, Mars Lewis Skelly, and of course now recently with Max Dowman, Marli Salmon.
Were there any attributes in particular that you saw in these young players when you were coaching them and thought, wow, the fact that that's been coached at such an early age and they're managing to do it so well?
Firstly, it's testament to the environment that they have parentally and the experience that they had because you've got to be supported by everyone sees okay maybe what the coaches do of course when they're at the clubs, but parents play such a massive part in it. So that's a key aspect, the support that they get. Then when it comes to being in an academy environment, because it's highly competitive, and as you're probably aware of the stats already, in a club, you may get only 10% of players who actually get all the way through. So it's very very small. Now, one of the things definitely, and I'll go back to the Strong Young Gunners, is a lifelong learner. So they're really keen to develop and grow and learn, and they want to understand what they need to improve on, what they need to try to develop as a player right from a young age, and they'll ask questions. I always say to grassroots players who want to be in academies, I say to them, one of the key things you need to be is a persistent questioner. And it's not just for asking the question's sake, but you need to ask questions to develop and grow and really understand what you need to do to be able to progress your game and progress to the next level. So that's definitely something. And then when it comes to the challenge, they were always ready for a challenge, always ready for a challenge. If you said, okay, you're going to play in the older age group. Oh, okay, you're going to train with the older age group. Okay, you're going to be in a competition where you have older players. They were always ready to go and always wanted that extra challenge.
Thank you. It's almost hard to not speak about, I guess, someone you've worked closely with, Max Dowman. When you watch someone like him specifically, what are you looking for and what made him stand out? Was it his mentality or, as I said, any attributes in him
Mm.
personally that you saw?
So of course, Max, very very young, as everyone's now seeing, he's blown up. He was probably one of the best kept secrets in academy football. I knew about Max and others knew about Max from 2019, if not before. So that's where no one heard about him, but of course, rightly so because he was only 9, 10 years of age. But when I got to Arsenal, I was told there's a boy here, he's top quality, even from the age. And I hadn't coached him in my first year because he was 2 years below. By the time he was under 11, he was playing and training up with the under 12s for the whole season. And then by the time I coached his age group, he was at a higher age group and was only with us when we had cup competitions. So um, uh, Max was always ready for a challenge. His mindset was always I want to push myself, and you could see that. It also helped that physically he could cope with the challenge above. So his physical profile allowed him to cope, and of course his super strength, which we are seeing on the world stage now is his ability to carry the ball with his left foot. That's always been the case. Always been the case with Max. And usually, what's your super strength from when you're younger is going to be the one that gets you into the first team and keeps you there. So it's great to see that. And as Arsene Wenger says, and he has a quote around the fact that at some point everyone's gets to the same kind of level, but it's the stamina and your motivation that will take you beyond. And of course, he's had this from a an early age and this early exposure. He's getting to first team football, which of course many don't at 15, 14 years of age. So um, Max is definitely from a mentality perspective. He's ready, willing to learn, and wants that new challenge. And of course, has shown that he can handle it. And it's just a matter of time, hopefully, before he'll be able to cement his position in the first team in a couple of years. Of course, there's a lot of growing and growth for him still to do. He will be with the under 21s consistently next season, but I'm sure he will be with the first team in some regards as well.
So you've touched on the support system that they have in, that people have in
Yes.
the parental system. So specifically for Dowman and the other players who are on this preseason tour and face this sort of external pressure from the likes of us, the media, from everyone, from fans. What is the importance of a support system from someone like you, a coach who's witnessed it firsthand?
So, firstly, it's definitely a crucial thing because as you well know, media can immediately just jump, oh, next star, I'm looking at CBS and they're talking about Max as the next, Lamine Yamal, and I'm thinking, okay, just let him in, let him enjoy what he's doing at this point in time. But I've had the pleasure of getting to know the parents of Max and Marley and Andre the time I was there, and the parents always very steady. They never cause any challenges or issues for coaches. They trusted what we were doing, and they always wanted to make sure that their sons were applying themselves. And if there were, any behavioral challenges or stepping out of line, they would be, very quick to. But thankfully, didn't really have anything like that because parents were great in the way that they supported and raised them. It's testament to them. And then as coaches, for us, it was really important to make sure that they were challenged appropriately because that's also part of caring for players. If you don't provide the appropriate challenge, then you're not preparing them for what will be the game and what they'll end up facing. So it was making sure that they were stretched appropriately, that there were times where, yes, it was comfortable for them, and you need that. You need those times where you can just explore, express, and it's a little bit too easy for you. Great. And then you get the one where you're just about getting by because the challenge is really high. So it's managing that for the players, which the coaches and my colleagues there had done brilliantly on, especially under Saka's guidance, and of course Arteta as well.
Perfect. It's somewhat of a topic that has been asked a lot recently. Obviously, you're not Mikel Arteta, the manager, but from a coaching perspective, how much do you think the like of Dowman particularly, but also some of the other players that will come through to the first team can play? Because the physical demands of first team football is not a secret. It's difficult, and there were arguments
Yes.
last season about Nwaneri sort of being rested because of the demands and such physical toll
Mm.
on it.
Well, the thing is that they're still young and growing, and I think this is what many forget. You think, oh, yeah, they're ready. No, they're still growing. For example, Max's dad is 6 foot plus, and I wouldn't be surprised if Max is 6'2", 6'3". So they've still got some growing to do, and you've got to support them through that. You don't want there to be a case whereby you've exposed them too early, and then by the time they get to 25, 24, they've got regular injuries, and then their careers end up being cut short. So I know that it's being managed excellently, exceptionally. Got great staff there, not just obviously coaches, sports scientists, got the psychologists, etc., who are supporting in a holistic way. And I think it's just important to have that calm around their development from the outside. Fans, of course, excited, media excited, want to see everything now. But for us who are behind the scenes, it's about managing for a long-term career. That's what's most important.
So can you share a bit about Marley Salmon and maybe the other sort of players you've worked with, the other people involved in the preseason that maybe fans don't know a lot about who've sprung onto the scene?
Mm. Marley just loved defending, like constantly loved defending, and it was if he could block a shot on goal, etc. It was like scoring a goal. He just loved it, and you're seeing that. You saw that in the FA Youth Cup. You saw the way that he was, he put his body on the line, his recovery runs, recovery tackles. That's something that he just loves, and I think when you have someone like that who's so passionate about that aspect of the game, I think there's always space for him to do really well, and so. Yeah, it's great to see what Marley's been doing. And then with Andre, interestingly, when I coached Andre, he played more so as a right back, right winger, and we saw that quite consistently through his academy time. But of recent, he's been moved to striker, and so it's very you never really see that. You never really see someone who's played right back, right wing, then go and play up top. But he's got the quality to do it. Again, excellent at carrying the ball. Very, very quick, got excellent technique. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Andre going forwards. But what's great is the fact that he's had those experiences in other positions, and that was something that is really important for players and has been really good when I look at all three of their developments. Even Max has played at centre back. He's played left wing. He's played number six. He's varied in his positions, and same with Marley. At times played centre midfield, played right back, played left back because they need to have an experience of different perspectives on the pitch. which will help them overall in their understanding of the game.
I mean, Arsenal have long had a tradition of bringing loads of young players on tour or on camps to try and integrate them and give them experience. But does it feel a bit different this season in terms of quality and the way that Mikel Arteta sort of trusted some of the younger players? And beyond just numbers, do you feel the group is ready? I guess this popular saying,
Mm.
good enough, you're old enough. You're old enough, you're good enough.
Yeah, if you're old enough, you're good enough. I think we've seen that time and time again from way back. I remember from the days of Messi, 16, Rooney 16, and Ronaldo 17. So if you're if you're good enough, you're old enough. And Arteta, what I love and I always remember is he used to come to training, even under 12s. He would be there. He'd be looking. He would talk to me and the other coaches, and he would see Max at that time as well, just as an under 12, and the other players at Marley, etc. And it was great to see how connected he was, and continues to be with the academy. And we are seeing that pathway. It's really encouraging when you're at a club where the first team manager is really interested in seeing players coming through the academy. And of course, at Arsenal, and just like any other club, what we'd love to have is 11 starting Hale End players. We'd of course love to have that. Challenging in the Premier League, of course, very challenging, but you can still hope for it and you can still aim for it. Barcelona have done it right at the highest level. We've seen them do it a number of times. So that's something that we aspire to and continue to aspire to. I know former colleagues do as well, producing as many players as possible, preparing them for first team at the highest level.
Yeah, it's hard to achieve, but obviously it can be done. You look in Spain and you see some of the sides who have those ideologies and stuff.
Exactly, Aaron, and it's a fan's it warms a fan's heart to say, these are our own. That's why you can see how much the Arsenal fans love Saka. He's one of our own, and obviously when Emile Smith Rowe was there as well, and I think seeing so many come at one time is really encouraging. I think for the fans, but not just the fact that they're coming, but the high quality in which these players are starting at such a young age, and I think it gives the fans a lot of confidence for the future of young players coming through the club.
You've probably been asked this before, but right now, if you're looking at it at this current stage, who are some of the academy players maybe we haven't heard of who you've worked with and you believe that fans should be keeping an eye on them or that you think are going to do well? Anyone in particular?
At Arsenal.
You can say at Arsenal, at any club, mostly Arsenal.
Okay. Okay, yeah, very sales. Well, I will go back to um firstly to Fulham because I was at Fulham as well, and he's actually in the first team now is Josh King. He was always top, I mean, he's top quality. And the one thing I loved about Josh King is that he was always the smallest usually in the group, but he always found a way to be effective on the pitch, receive the ball, pass the ball. The way he used his body, and obviously we're seeing it now. I know he's being trusted by Silva in the first team, and there are actually quite a number of other players who are now in the under 21s who are coached at Fulham, and hoping that they'll also get the opportunity. At Arsenal, when I was when I was there. I looked around me and thought to myself, especially so there was so Marley is a year older than Max. So you've got there was Max's age group, you've got Marley's age group, and then there was the age group above. And I looked at that and I thought to myself, this could be a really in the next couple of years. I mean, this could be a really strong youth cup team here that we FA Youth Cup team that we've got here for under 18s if quite a number of them get all the way through. And if we're looking at the under 18s, I mean there's quite a few. I mean more than I could name, but you've got the likes of Teshaun Murisa, who plays central midfield. Lovely technique. When he gets the ball, his first touches, he's just so intelligent. Um, You got Brando as well. So Brando plays in the front line. And then even players who got coming up from the under 16s, who let's see, let's see the ones in Max's year. I know that again they're a very strong group throughout the academy. So you never know, Aaron, but let's see what happens going forward.
I'm not sure how much you know, but maybe as a coach you can share some about the education system. And obviously, it's well known about
Mm,
the fact Bukayo Saka obviously did well in his GCSEs. He was very studious.
yeah.
How does the education system work? Obviously, academy football is a huge
Yeah.
sacrifice over doing the traditional GCSEs and A levels. And are these players still studying alongside, and how well are they doing at it?
Yes, they are, and they are also afforded opportunities to go to grammar schools. So some do go to private schools, so they are very studious, and they and that's a massive part. If, for example, if they weren't taking school seriously, they won't come training. There would be repercussions. It's not a case of you can just sack it off because you're at Arsenal, and so that's something that is paramount, and there's a head of education who has strong connections with the schools and is checking in on a regular basis on how they are doing, and when they come for day release they have to make sure that they're completing their work accordingly as well. So that's all part of being a strong young gunner, whereby you are showing that lifelong learner mentality in all aspects of your life, which of course GCSEs, and then when you go on to A levels. Now A levels looks a bit different. They do a BTEC within part of their scholarship, but if they want to, they can also choose to do additional A levels on top of that as well.
Perfect. And I'll just ask you now, what are you up to now, and tell me a bit more about your current projects involved in coaching.
Sure. So there are two main ones, and last year when I left Arsenal, my main focus was to help coaches who want to work within the professional academies and elite game, because many don't know it's roughly about 0.1% of coaches in this country. When you look at I think it's 1.1 million, maybe even more now, of coaches there are in the country in relation to those who are in academies. And so it's incredibly hard to be able to work. But I support them in understanding how to do so. I've got a community called the Coach Accelerator Masterclass community, and on that they get regular mentorship. I take them to study visits to clubs. I support them with their licenses and bursaries, session designs, preparing them, and just making sure that they have a continuous supporting network all the way through their coaching their coaching journey as long as they would like to have that support, and that's been great. There are coaches from, of course, mainly UK, but I have coaches who I'm supporting in America, Europe, Africa, and then I've also taken up a consultancy role with True Mind Education. So I'm their UK coaching director, and we are supporting scholars, so under 18s and under 18s and also first team around the mental skills to be able to be successful in these high performance environments. And already, since we launched our offers in June, we've had 21 clubs already book. And this is across the leagues from League Two going right the way through to the Premier League. So you see that it's such a critical thing, the mental skills aspect, and we're talking around identity, resilience, things of that nature. And it's great because the person who's the founder, Will Mellors Blair, he used to be an academy player at Man United, and he also played at Walsall, and so he has that lived experience going through academies and playing first team, playing non-league, to be able to share with the scholars what is the skill sets and the frameworks that they can use to be able to be successful at that level.
You see so many top Premier League players, top European players, even hiring performance and mental coaches now to help
Yes,
sort of
yes.
elevate their game. Just how important, I guess, your that consultancy role sort of feels that how important is it in general?
It's massive. The mental and emotional side of the game are really the key things that are going to help you to stay there and thrive. Um, if that's not taken care of, then you can see the quick spirals going down. And of course, you see it with those who are, in the paper nowadays, but who've struggled and they've been open about it. Your Dele Allis, Marcus Rashford's, even Jack Grealish, and it's absolutely critical, and it's something that cannot be ignored and is crucial for players on a personal level, not just in relation to their football, but also for their livelihood, because you can only play football for so many hours a day. The rest, you're living your life with family and otherwise.
Thank you so much for taking your time to speak to me, and hopefully that was insightful. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it, Aaron, and you're doing, like I said, fantastic work, and really look forward to speaking with you again.